All right, guys, so you've seen me talk about tensegrity models before. So if you look at some of my past posts, we've talked about our tensegrity pelvis here, where the forces aren't actually being distributed through the bones. They're actually being distributed through the rubber bands, the soft tissues. Now, I've had people in the past who I show them this model, but they come in with a spine issue. So I explain the same concepts using this model, but it makes a lot more sense to talk about the spine through a spine model. So I recently got myself a tensegrity spine model. And so normally when we think of the structure of the spine, most people, when they think about the spine or when they show you animations of the spine, pictures of the spine, you'll see the vertebral column as just a stack of bones. And they talk about the bones as being the weight-bearing parts of the spine. So we think of there being compressive forces that go through the spine and go through the discs. But the spine works as a tensegrity structure like every other joint in the body. So this is my spinal tensegrity model. And what you'll notice is if you look closely, the bones themselves aren't actually touching each other. They're just kind of floating there by the continuous tension of these rubber bands. Now the discs, they would live between these spaces. So a disc would live there, a disc would live there. And again, if you look at this structure, you'll notice there's no force going through those spaces where the discs would be. The discs aren't really handling compressive forces when the soft tissue relationships of the spine are doing what they're supposed to. So if we move and the whole spine moves together and everything's working equally, we aren't getting compressive forces through the spine. Our spine is functionally degeneration proof when the soft tissues are doing what they're supposed to. Now, this is why the whole spine working well is really, really important. So if I have a lot of movement down here between these two segments and I don't really have movement happening other places, I might do what should be this movement, ends up just being this. So I'm now pinching bones against each other. Now, if these happen to be facet joints, and every time I move what should be my entire spine, I'm only moving this area, in the short term, that can create some pain. In the very long term, that can cause degeneration. If we look at these spaces where the discs are, you can get the same type of thing happening. So if everything works together, there's no force being transferred through the bones themselves or through the discs. If I have one area moving more than it should, I can now start to get compression through the spaces where the discs should be. So getting the whole spine to do exactly what it's supposed to ensures that we aren't getting any local areas of excessive stress or excessive discomfort. Another reason why seeing things through a tensegrity structure matters is because when we look at breathing, when we look at pressurization, what happens when we actually create an expansion of diaphragm lowering and we get pressure and we get expansion of this area? As we brace, we create a pressure system through here. And through that pressure, you actually get decompression of the entire system. All right, so we are creating decompression of the spine as we pressurize this area. And so ensuring that each piece of the spine does what it's supposed to so I don't get extra stress in any one area, and making sure I have a bracing breathing strategy that is creating decompression is of critical importance to making sure that my spine knows what it's doing.